All right, 20%. 20% time is a program that was created by Google, and the idea behind it is that if you are a Google employee, you get 20% of your time working to work on any project that you want. So, a project that may not be related to what Google itself is interested in doing as a company, but instead is something that you think is a good idea. The idea behind 20% time at Noble Academy is to work on the skills of creativity and grit. Creativity, obviously the ability to come up with and work on ideas, and grit, the fortitude to see them through. This is a video about grit. We're going to watch that and then we'll move into the presentations.
Good. God love that teddy bear. When I was 27 years old, I left a very demanding job in management consulting for a job that was even more demanding, teaching. I went to teach 7th graders math in the New York City public schools. And like any teacher, I made quizzes and tests, I gave out homework assignments. When the work came back, I calculated grades. What struck me was that IQ was not the only difference between my best and my worst students. Some of my strongest performers did not have stratospheric IQ scores. Some of my smartest kids weren't doing so well. And that got me thinking. The kinds of things you need to learn in 7th grade math, sure, they're hard. Ratios, decimals, the area of a parallelogram. But these concepts are not impossible. And I was firmly convinced that every one of my students could learn the material if they worked hard and long enough. After several more years of teaching, I came to the conclusion that what we need in education is a much better understanding of students and learning from a motivational perspective, from a psychological perspective. In education, the one thing we know how to measure best is IQ. But what if doing well in school and in life depends on much more than your ability to learn quickly and easily? So I left the classroom and I went to graduate school to become a psychologist. I started studying kids and adults in all kinds of super challenging settings. And in every study, my question was, who is successful here and why? My research team and I went to West Point Military Academy. We tried to predict which cadets would stay in military training and which would drop out. We went to the National Spelling Bee and tried to predict which children would advance farthest in competition. We studied rookie teachers working in really tough neighborhoods, asking which teachers are still going to be here in teaching by the end of the school year. And of those, who will be the most effective at improving learning outcomes for their students? We partnered with private companies asking which of these salespeople is going to keep their jobs and who's going to earn the most money. In all those very different contexts, one characteristic emerged as a significant predictor of success. And it wasn't social intelligence, it wasn't good looks, physical health, and it wasn't IQ. It was grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. A few years ago, I started studying grit in the Chicago public schools. I asked thousands of high school juniors to take grit questionnaires, and then waited around more than a year to see who would graduate. Turns out that grittier kids were significantly more likely to graduate, even when I matched them on every characteristic I could measure. Things like family income, standardized achievement test scores, even how safe kids felt when they were at school. So it's not just at West Point or the National Spelling Bee that grit matters, it's also in school, especially for kids at risk for dropping out. To me, the most shocking thing about grit is how little we know, how little science knows about building it. Every day, parents and teachers ask me, how do I build grit in kids? What do I do to teach kids a solid work ethic? How do I long run? The honest answer is, I don't know. What I do know is that talent doesn't make you great. Our data show very clearly that there are many talented individuals who simply do not follow through on their commitments. In fact, in our data, grit is usually unrelated or even inversely related to measures of talent. So far, the best idea I've heard about building grit in kids is something called growth mindset. This is an idea developed at Stanford University by Carol Dweck, and it is the belief that the ability to learn is not fixed, that it can change with your effort. Dr. Dweck has shown that when kids read and learn about the brain and how it changes and grows in response to challenge, they're much more likely to persevere when they fail, because they don't believe that failure is a permanent condition. So growth mindset is a great idea for building grit, but we need more. And that's where I'm going to end my remarks, because that's where we are. That's the work that stands before us. We need to take our best ideas, our strongest intuitions, and we need to test them. We need to measure whether we've been successful, and we have to be willing to fail, to be wrong, to start over again with lessons learned. In other words, we need to be gritty about getting our kids grittier. Thank you.
Anybody who's taken an art class with me has heard me say that it's impossible to fail at a piece of art unless you quit before it's at a point that you'd like. We're going to show some images and videos of 9 students who, in the short month that we've been doing this program, have come up with some very interesting projects and some results. And so I'm going to hand the microphone off to Jared Lindsay.
Hello, I'm Jared. My 20% time was chainmail. I made chainmail out of soda tabs. You may have heard about me. I collected soda tabs and put them together into chainmail.
Hello, my 20% time was practicing and playing and learning these songs on the ukulele.
Basically just a race course that I did on Gary's farm.
My project was designing houses, and I tried different formats and stuff for my virtual internship with green building.
Okay, I was approached by students, the 7th graders, to build this game that was at Camp Weaver. It's called Carpet Ball.
Alright, so my idea was making actually a TV series, which I actually thought over summer, so I made actually 5 scripts, which was pretty easy at some points.
So for my 20% project, I decided to do a cosplay, and this is the character I'm supposed to look like. I don't, obviously, so I have to fix that.
I was going to do a spell book, but I decided that making a physical one would be a waste of the ink. So I was going to make a digital one, kind of like an audio book, but have actors.
My 20% time project was getting headway at least in a script of the 21st Century Breakdown album. I got the idea from when I went and saw American Idiot, and it was amazing, and you need to go see it. One thing that I find really cool is that I am a class of 13.
Come up with a pencil. You got nothing. I got chainmail. So, you can make this pretty much yourself if you have paper clip remover and wire cutter. You simply bend the paper clip and then cut it. And then you can put it in. It's quite simple.
It served mainly as a practice time, but I learned several new songs.
Roll your cue ball across the table into the other side, trying to knock the opponent's ball into basically the trough or the holding area. We originally had players, so here you can see how it has the same troughs on the side and the carpets in the middle.
I knew what characters to put in, know what storyline, but the hard part was how to think of it, how to process it, how to write the episodes in sequence. So it was kind of easy for me at some points, but some points were kind of difficult.
It's a soprano ukulele. It's the second smallest, and here's the video.
part of this.
Here's an image of the duct system, what you have to do for all of the houses. You have to design everything from how wiring works to everything to water, electricity, then the roofing.
But mainly this was like one of my interests because I actually like this game a lot. And it's pretty fun to play once you get used to it. You get to just spawn in anything you want pretty much. You can make like a giant robot for anything you want. Okay.
The main idea of the story is a guy named Christian who is basically learning about himself. He goes through this phase of he hates everything and everything sucks and everything is bowed down to him, which obviously doesn't work.
This is a front view of one of the houses. You also do landscaping along with it.
I have thought of mainly like 10 episodes already. The scripts already have been processed. The other series will probably come out this summer. I'm guessing it depends on how time to write the other 26 episodes.
I have to get a lot of stuff done to do the transformation, so for my project I bought this coat and some boots that are coming up next, which I had to apply a grant for because they were so expensive.
This is supposedly like one of the main bad guys. He's like the second hand to Dulu, who's the main bad guy.
He meets this girl named Gloria who basically changes his entire life, and he goes into a breakdown and he can't actually have her.
And what he didn't tell you was we had some supplies here that we were going to help him build it with, and he got a little crazy this weekend. He built the whole thing this weekend. Hopefully some of you get some ideas over the summer. Some of you 9th graders will be in this program next year. You can start working on some of the things that I know you already do, and certainly you don't need us to give you time during the school day to do interesting projects, but that is a bonus of being in the 10th through 12th grade. So thank you all very much.